Welcome back to another episode of the Autonomy podcast, and today it is another solo episode by yours truly. And today we're going to tackle, it is coming up to Christmas, so we are going to tackle the Christmas survival guide. Now, a lot of people there'll be so many different Instagram posts out this Christmas time, how to manage it. You shouldn't need to manage it. Enjoy yourself. Christmas comes around once a year. There'll be any type of thought process that you want to have during this Christmas period, you can find it on Instagram. You can find someone to back up your beliefs and to make it better if you feel like you need to. And I think a lot of people do fall into the trap of not managing Christmas very well on the inside. So what I mean by that is that, on the outside, they'll enjoy themselves, they'll have, all of the things that they want to have, and they'll act in the ways that they want to. And then inside them, there'll be this little level of guilt and shame, or, a bit disgruntled about like they put on a few pounds or they could have done it differently. And then when it comes around again, they get wrapped up into it again and again and again. And every single year, the same process happens. I mean, with full transparency, that's why fitness businesses and that's why online coaching and PT, we make our biggest months in December, January, and February, because simply everybody wants to get in shape from this time period. Now, for me, I don't like the idea of most people starting in January. I think it goes against a lot of things that autonomy stands for. But also, it is a very good time from the industry, so I can't choose to ignore it either. So I'm doing this podcast as a bit of a explanation on what I would do if I was having my Christmases all over again and I was looking after the way that I eat and the way that I would manage the time period. And also, like, it's just, it's probably my experiences over the last couple of years that has helped me probably change the way I view Christmas and the way I view things from a little bit of a tactical manner. So, to tell a story, it's been a few years now since I've really had one of those Christmases that I regretted, or I had to diet in January to make that happen. It's been, 3 to 4 years, where I haven't had to diet in January. And every single January, I count my blessings to be like, yes, I made it another year where I'm not falling into that trap of like really going for it for 14 days, or even leaving December the whole month to be there, or halfway through November people say, oh, well, it's close to Christmas anyway, so I'll let that go. And it's been like 3-4 years where I've had to get to that point where I've not had to make any drastic changes in January. And for me, it was a torrid time. Like, ever since I started my first diet when I was 15, this video for a very, very important announcement. I want to invite you all to our Facebook group. We have a 6 Phases to Forever Facebook group, which is a part of our coaching process that is free, that you can get lots and lots of value on a week-to-week basis. I go live once a week. There's plenty of content in there, and there's always special bonus material if you're looking at getting in shape, or how to stay in shape forever. So if you are wanting that, the link will be here somewhere, and then also it'll be in the description. So guys, see you there, and you get to see my ugly mug on a week-to-week basis all the way until maybe 25, 26. Every Christmas would be pretty much the same standard process. It would be Christmas dues, 16th, 21st, 10th, all the way through the month. As clients were coming through when I was PTing, they would have clients too. They'd have those things, so I'd be getting involved in those. Clients would be offering me out for dinner, drinks, and it'd just start. You start seeing the mince pies in Pret on the way to work in the morning. So you grab a mince pie with a pumpkin latte, because it was still like Halloweenish at that point, and it'd start that run up till Christmas. And then we'd have the big events, so for me, my family get together on the 21st, all my cousins get together. So normally when I'm traveling, or when, as I've grown older through my 20s, I've been coming back from London, coming back from traveling, coming back from Dubai, wherever I've been coming back from, it'd be a Christmas like family event with the cousins on the 21st. Then it'd be evening on the 24th with my parents. Then it'd be 25th, it'd be my parents and some friends, and it'd get a bit boozy in the afternoon. My cousins would come around again potentially, and we've been doing that the last couple of years. And then it would be, sit on the sofa for a slob on the 26th, 27th, 28th, 29th, 30th was a bit of a blur. Like, you'd be eating the leftovers, you'd be finishing off the celebrations, you'd probably be cracking out the between Christmas and New Year food, which is something that my mum really specialized in over the time period. she wasn't really a big fan of the Christmas dinners, but what she was fan of is all of the finger food and all the little extras that you can get. And so we'd just be defrosting that from like the Marks and Spencer's range or whatever, or the hamper that we got from I make it a point that I buy a hamper every single year for home with Fortin and Mason's one, just because they got nice stuff. The cheese and biscuits are fantastic, and the wine and stuff. And then we get on those between Christmas and New Year. Then New Year's Eve would be, a few drinks or out. And then it'd be, you're at January 1st by then. And, for me, that it was actually just more so the dead time that did it for me, the lack of routine. I'd wake up in the morning on the 25th and I was like, what are you supposed to eat for breakfast on the 25th? Like, for years and years and years, I'd open up I'd sneak down at 1 a.m. when my mum and dad had gone to bed. I'd open up a few presents when they were asleep, which is kind of naughty, but I did it anyway. And I think they knew it anyway. And my dad was pretty happy because I didn't have to sit around watching me open presents that he'd bought anyway, because he's a bit of a humbug like that. And then I'd have chocolate out of the stocking for breakfast. And then I'd probably have a bacon butty. My mum would be like, oh, let's get a bacon butty on. And like, as I grew older, those habits just stayed. And like, I'd just lounge around eating chocolate in the morning on Christmas Day. And then it became Christmas Eve. We'd do the exact same. In the evening, we'd have more food and we'd have more drinks. I'd probably sit there and have a few glasses of Prosecco with my mum and have like cheese and biscuits on the 24th. And like, these are all well and good and these are great times. And actually, when you look at the days in which Christmas falls upon and you put it into any other time frame, so January, February, March, April, May, June, July, whatever time it is, if the Christmas time frame was in July and you were working towards your goals and someone said, hey, just have 3 days where you eat kind of what you want and it's absolutely fine, and then you can go back to normal. Let's say, for example, you're going to go Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, Boxing Day, New Year's Eve, right? Let's say, for example, if that was the only time that you were eating more in a normal week or a normal area, there would be no problem at all with you either holding weight or just getting a little bit of water or excess water, and then you'd be back on the diet you'd be back on your normal food a couple of days later and you'd be absolutely fine. However, the biggest thing and the biggest struggle that a lot of people deal with when it comes to Christmas is that by the 1st of December, people are already throwing off their diets that they were going to do, but they don't think they're going to make enough progress until Christmas, and then they're going to be off plan. And what they don't realize is that it's actually that mentality of, oh, I won't start now, that lulls them into that false sense of security, that it's never the Christmas Eve, it's never Christmas Day, it's never Boxing Day, it's never New Year's Eve that fucks up your plans or fucks up your results or the reason why you didn't get your results. It's actually all of the time that you kept putting it off because you thought Christmas was going to be a blowout. But Christmas could be a blowout. Christmas Day, Boxing Day could be a complete blowout. Now, of course, there's measures to this. Like, if you're eating like a dickhead every single day between the 23rd and the 1st of January, of course, there's going to be some body fat accruing. If you're sitting there on the 27th, eating a whole tub of celebrations or going through the Fox's biscuits or, oh, we might as well get rid of these, and then you're plowing into those 3 times a day, and you're using those excuses all the way through, then sure, there will be some body fat accruement. But from what I see and the general theme of what goes on at Christmases in people's houses is that there is times between Christmas and New Year in where you're not filling your boots like Christmas Day. And almost that whole nature of I've given up before I even started is the failure point for most individuals. We have it, and obviously autonomy is, a large basis of it is from the South Asian Indian community. And these individuals, unfortunately, have large events like Christmas a couple of times in the year. So you'll see the same excuses come out at Christmas, and they are excuses. They're just reasons for not changing when you could really change. You could see, and for the record, if you're now listening to this and it's like November or December or whatever time it comes out, you can get 3 to 4 solid weeks in before you have a few days off to come back on. You're not going to ruin 3 weeks, 4 weeks of progress. It's worth starting today. Get your big girl and big boy pants on and take the steps forwards. Those 3 to 4 weeks can actually make you stabilized into a routine and not pass it off for another year. So take action today. I don't care if that's with Autonomy or that's on your own, or you take it following up free advice from the Facebook group, or you're going to go with another coach. I don't care. Just start today and you'll thank me in a year's time. The Indian population, or the events that have to go on during these timeframes, is very similar frequently across the year. Wedding season. Oh, I don't want to start my diet because wedding season, da 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 da. Oh, I don't want to start my diet because Diwali, year. I don't want to start my diet because of Christmas, da 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 da. Then it's Easter, and it's the same thing over and over again. So from my experience, there's always a reason not to change. There's always a reason why in 3 weeks' time, I'm going to be off my diet, so I might not start now. That's like saying I'm going to spend £60 in 3 weeks' time, but for the next 3 weeks, I'm going to save £50 a week. It's like, okay, cool. So you save £50 a week, which is £150 in 3 weeks. You spend 60 of it, you still have 90 quid left over. That's a decent amount. It's not like a case of, you can't spend all of the results in one night just because the scale weight went up. It doesn't mean that you gained all your fat. So this is the flawed process. There isn't a great way or an amazing way or a unique strategy to making Christmas great for you, which I'm going to go into how I do it. But it's the people, if you're listening to this and you've put off because of Diwali, or you put off because of whatever life events you've got going on, and now you've got this gap between 3 to 5 weeks before Christmas, and you're saying it's not worth it now, we'll just use that analogy. If you save 50 quid a week and you're going to spend 100 quid in 4 weeks, you still save £100. So you still make a saving on the goal that you wanted. So why not start now and do that? And hopefully by the end of this podcast, you'll have some strategies to navigate Christmas so you don't see it as actually a negative. So once you take away that thought process of like, it's not worth starting now, you can start saying, what am I going to learn in the next couple of weeks so that this Christmas time goes great? Because there has to be change. If you want different, you have to act different. For so many years, I went through the Christmas process doing the same shit. I would diet my balls off until like the 15th of this 20th of December. I'd be super hungry. I'd go into that Christmas meal with my cousins on the 21st. I'd eat loads and loads and loads. And then after that, I'd be like, well, it's Christmas. And then the 22nd, even though it was a normal day, I was still working at my laptop, or I was still like doing university work. I didn't have any structure with food because I'd already told myself, oh, fuck it, it's Christmas. And the words that we tell ourselves are the most incredibly powerful thing in the world. If you say, like, I get this all the time, because apparently October and September, for all my clients and lots of half the world in the UK, is that a lot of people just went to Dubai. So very similar to what I did, but they just went for a holiday. Is that a lot of the clients and a lot of people who start the conversation of, oh, how are you going to manage food whilst you're in Dubai? Not asking people to diet, just asking people how they're going to manage food. Oh, Dubai has the biggest portions. I don't know how I'm going to stop myself. Or, oh, I can't wait to go to the Cheesecake Factory. I can't wait. And I definitely can't say no to a few pieces of that. And it's like, well, you're already telling yourself what you're going to do. And that's a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you tell yourself you're going to have 3 pieces, then guess what? You're going to have 3 pieces. If you tell yourself that you can't control yourself, well, you're right. Either way, you're right. If you tell yourself that I can't say no to all the lovely snacks, well, you've told yourself that, so you must be right. And the words that we tell ourselves are so incredibly important. And I never really truly believed this until all of these things start to add up in your brain when you actually tell yourself a different story, a different narrative, and things start to happen a little bit differently. So I started acting differently. I started thinking differently to what I would normally. So, the creature comforts of, oh, fuck it, it's the 22nd of December. Oh, yeah, cool, it's Christmas now, became, oh, it's just the 22nd of December, like it was the 19th, like it was the 18th, like it was November the 21st. It's just a normal day. So I'm going to do my normal day things. And when it became do your normal day things, long behold, I didn't eat like a dickhead because there was no reason to. I was in a routine. I'd wake up at a normal time. I know if I was working or I was at my laptop or I was studying, I was waking up at a normal time, doing my normal things. Hey ho, my gym sessions got in instead of putting that off and then never going. Hey ho, my steps got in because it was a normal day routine. Hey, my lunch was actually a nutritious lunch, apart from instead of just microwaving and pig wrapped in blankets, or getting a full tray of those out and having those, because I'd already told myself that, fuck it, it's off. So once you change the thoughts and the things that you're telling yourself, and you start challenging that, then that's when it becomes a behavior, and that's when it becomes a change in behavior. So like, that whole thing of, I'm not going to start, like if you're listening to this, or you've got friends that are around you saying, I'm going to start in January because, it's Christmas coming up in a bit, maybe just ask them, one dagger question. I love a dagger question to a friend, because ultimately you're having their best interest at heart. It's like, what would be the worst case scenario with you starting now? Wouldn't you get better results if you started now, even if you did have a week off in a couple of weeks time? Start with that. Let's see how their ego puts up against that logic. Egos don't like logic. So you start questioning things like, well, why am I hitting the fuck it button on the 22nd of December? Because every time I've hit the fuck it button on the 22nd of December, I felt guilt on the 23rd, wanted to diet on the 23rd and 24th, only to then hit the fuck it button again on Christmas Day and say the exact same things that I was saying to myself in the future. Oh, I can't resist that. Oh, I love those Malteser celebrations. I can't wait to bang loads of those. Well, if you're saying that, then it must be true. And no wonder then you're banging a load of Maltesers. And some of the things that you kind of want to change, and this is probably a really important factor, a lot of the things that you might want to change because it changes the way that you look, or the changes the habits that you want, you have to recognize that you absolutely love them. A lot of the things that I've had to change are things that I absolutely love. Like there's nothing better, or was not, and let me change my wording on that because the thoughts always count, is that there was nothing better back in the day when my dad and I would wake up on 23rd or something, when there was a day off in between Christmas or before Christmas, and we'd do our special like Sunday ritual, which was 2 packs of bacon, 2 packs of sausage, which only meant a quadruple decker sandwich for each of us, which was 6 or 8 pieces of bacon, a piece of bread, 4 sausages, a couple more pieces of bacon, 4 sausages. We did that, religiously for a long time. There's nothing better I like from a camaraderie perspective, because he's my dad, he's my parent. There's nothing better than that on a Sunday when mum's off to church and we're just like sitting around, he's doing the ironing, I'm watching the football or match of the day, playing FIFA. Nothing I love from a relationship building perspective than that. And the food, no one can dispute how good a bacon and sausage sandwich is, especially with tomato ketchup or brown sauce, depending on how your predisposition is. But I had to let that go, even though it was completely beautiful, because that sandwich there is like 1,800 calories. And I can get that just with less calories. So instead of, that analogy there can relate back to, when someone passes me the Fox's biscuits, I'll eat the full pack, or, give me the celebrations and you're just gnawing at them, at one after the other. And I started questioning myself, especially with that bacon sandwich situation. I'm like, okay, well, I don't want to lose the camaraderie with my dad, or don't want to lose the camaraderie with the family member. Like this relates back to drinking as well, because I'll go into that in a minute, because that's definitely been a big struggle for me at Christmases, is that how do I get into that? How do I get that from my dad? How do I get that from that situation without taking away all the things that I wanted to do, and the guilt and the fat gain that I had, and the uncontrolled nature that it then cascades into? And you question, well, what would happen if you just didn't have a quadruple sandwich and you just had a sandwich? And now that becomes more manageable, right? You still get bacon, you still get sausage, you still get the time with your dad, but you just got one half of it. And it's not stack on stack on stacks. Then we did that. And guess what? There was no difference. There was no difference in my feelings towards the sandwich or feelings towards that moment, because it was the same moment, just with less food. And I think a lot of people correlate the peaks of the food, the quantities that they had, with the experience that they gained. But actually, we know that food has a bell curve. And I speak about this a lot, and I should probably speak about it a lot more. But food has a bell curve that now Indian food, it does the it has like the holy grail of the ability to last this process out more than anything, because they match things together that have salt, sweet, savory, crispy, soft, and gooey. So they're able to manipulate this a little bit better. But for most foods, that there's a bell curve. When you have 4 or 5 bites of a burger, it just tastes like the burger, and it doesn't get any better. So bite number 1 of a burger, oh my God, that was fantastic. Number 2, oh, that got better because I got the juices of this, and this. Third one gets better. So, oh yeah, that was a good one. And at some point in every food that you eat, there's a bell curve. When the peak of your enjoyment matches how much you're eating, and then what it does is, then when you take that next bite or that next bite, it doesn't taste any more beneficial. It's not linear. If you're eating a tub of Pringles, it doesn't get better every single time you have a Pringle. There's just a point of where the Pringle has maxed out its capabilities of enjoyment, and now you're just eating for either fullness or habit, and you're just eating for satiation of like emotions or whatever you're eating them for, or just habit. And what we need to look at is looking at how to make the most out of food in that bell curve, where it peaks and you enjoy it for the peak. But when you start not getting any more enjoyment out of it, that's when we start looking at taking that away, because you don't need it and you're probably still already full from what you had before. That is just extra calories that you don't particularly need, and you don't actually get any more enjoyment from it. So if we're not getting any more enjoyment from it, the foodies, or the people that put their hands up and say, I'm a foodie. Yeah, you are a foodie. Totally understand it. And I appreciate it. But your foodiness is still on this bell curve. And if you go past the bell curve and you're still wanting more and more and more of it, that's not foodie. That's a behavioral issue or situationship. Because if you're a foodie and you genuinely love different types of food and the flavors and the taste and stuff, but we know that once you've had all these flavors and taste in enough bites, that becomes not a better experience, but you continue on eating, then that isn't because you're a foodie. That's because you're eating for whatever other reasons there is. That could be gluttony, emotional stuff. Maybe you're not a foodie, you're a fatty, as a lot of people call it. And maybe it's those elements. But what we have to recognize is that over the Christmas period, there is going to be this bell curve happening every single day. If you line up 25 of your favorite celebrations, boom, 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 one after the other, there will be a point in which you eating the next one tastes worse than the one that you did before. Maybe you'll get 6 in, maybe you'll get 7 in. And I say that to say this, is that if we can appreciate the bell curve of food and we can appreciate what truly enjoying food means, then you're probably going to eat less and appreciate more. Because if you know that 7th bite into that, what else can you have on Christmas? Let's say, for example, you're on the cheese board and you're on that 6th or 7th different type of cheese, and you've had a couple of slices of each. That doesn't get any better the more you have of it. So therefore, once you've had the enjoyment out of that food, you can stop or learn to stop. Because if you're full on the inside and you've had the enjoyment out of it, regardless of what your brain is saying about, oh, just have some more, or fuck it, it's Christmas, or someone externally pressures you into saying, oh, just have some more, finish it off, you can with confidence say, I've had the enjoyment that I'll maximally get out of this, because you only have to take 1 bite extra, the one that hits on the bell curve, to know that, yeah, this is getting worse. I don't need any more. And 2 is that if you say from the inside, which is, hey, I feel full on the inside, and we do need to honor those hunger signals and the fullness signals, because that's the only thing that your body has to tell us, hey, stop feeding us, we don't need any more. And once you find those 2 things, then you'll enjoy the food maximally without over consuming. So that was a little bit of a rant into like the food bell curve that we should be looking out for when we're eating food. But what I want to kind of go through now is the strategy of managing Christmas. So ultimately, there's a 14-day window, I think. Let's just call it 14 days. You can call it I start from the 21st to the 31st or the 1st, because that's when I do my first event. My first event is on the 21st. And then the rest of it. Now, I don't do many Christmas events in terms of like socials out, but if it's anything from like the 1st of December to the 21st, I'm tracking my calories. I'm staying within a decent range. If I'm going to drink 3,000 calories, I'll then eat less on the other days. So I would strategize December, because if you hit the fuck it button in the 1st of December, it's only going downhill for the rest of December. And you're just absolving yourself of responsibility when you could actually do something about it, something positive as well. So you get to like the 21st and you're like, right, this is the Christmas period for me. So I look at it, 21st, I've got a social event with my cousins every single year. We go out, we get drunk, we go out for dinner, we might have dinner at my house and then go out for drinks afterwards. It's a pound a drink in Warrington, or it's a pound a drink wherever we go to. Everyone's getting fucked up for about a tenner. And it's cheap, it's cheerful, it's really poor tasting alcohol, but we're with family, we're having a really good time, and it's the cousins are just a laugh a minute. I wish I could do a podcast with those. That'd be really, really funny. Wouldn't be anything fitness related. Although two of them have, one of them has an online coach, so maybe when she does her results, I'll get, she's lost so much weight. Maybe I'll interview her. That's a good shout anyway. Try and get the one for the Christmas special. Secondly, is that so that's a kind of extra calorie day. We're not gonna count calories on that day. Sure, I'll probably eat less during the day, but when we have the meal in the evening, I'm having niceties, I'm having the enjoyment stuff, I'm eating till I'm full and I'm enjoying the food and the taste that it is. But when I'm full, I stop. To a point, actually 2 or 3 years ago, I stopped, and then my mum got me my favorite cheesecake. So she gets the Cheesecake Factory cheesecakes, which you can get in like small slices. And a couple of years ago, she was like, we were sitting around the dinner table, we're having a glass of prosecco with all these other cousins, and she just said to me like, "Are you feeling all right?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm absolutely fine, thanks." And she's like, "Because you've only had like half your cheesecake, and you finished it." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm actually like, I was really good. I was happy with it. It was great, and that was it." And she's like, "Oh, okay, more for me then." I was like, "Okay, cool, you can have it. Fine, fantastic." But for me, that was one of those moments where I had my favorite food. I hadn't demolished it. I wasn't feeling sick. I was feeling content. I'd have a few glasses of prosecco, and I was fully engaged in the conversation. And at that moment, I was like, "Oh shit, that was really decent." Anyway, so 21st. Then for me, the next night is the Christmas day. 24th, we'll have some drinks in the evening, but nothing you can't track, or have a few extra drinks on top of your normal calories. And then you got to look at Christmas Day, Boxing Day, and then for me, it was New Year's Eve. So that is 4 days out of 22nd, 23rd, 24th, 25th, 26th, 27th, 28th, 29th, 31st. So that's 4 days out of 10. Now, those days, if you look at relativity and probabilities, 4 days out of 10, if you go super high in calories, you have 6 other days to maneuver or manage these blocks. It would be absolutely fine for you to go on Christmas Day and enjoy the food that is on offer to the best of your abilities, utilizing those things that we spoke about, which is don't like stuff your face for no reason. Food has a bell curve, so once you've stopped enjoying it, there's no reason to have it anymore. And that'll maybe highlight to you where you stand on terms of your behavioral issues around food, and maybe some of the core beliefs that some of your family members may have installed in you, which is like, you need to finish your plate, you've got to have seconds, or the family pressures, the external pressures. And maybe that exposes some of your weakness around not being able to say no to people, or not having the control that you thought you did, which is very, very interesting. But if you were to have 4 days out of 10 where you went above your calories, and the other 6 days you were kind of eating immoderately at maintenance, you would have no issue maintaining your weight. Like, even if you were to have 5,000 calories over a 4-day period, that's 20,000 calories. Most on average people will get like 12 to 14,000 on a week-to-week basis anyway. So then you just look at maneuvering stuff around. So yes, sure, you'll be over, and yes, sure, maybe that you gain some body fat, or maybe you gain some water weight. But in reality, 4 days out of 10 for enjoying Christmas the way that you want to enjoy it, it shouldn't be looked as a bad thing. Like, you should gain a bit of weight over Christmas, but you should be able to have it within your control, not something that you get to the 1st of December, the 1st of January, and you're like, holy fuck, I'm 5 kilos up. It should be a purposeful / intentional. You should have that thought process. And once I made that thought process where I gave I gave myself permission to eat. So I said to myself, I'm going to eat today. I'm going to have Christmas dinner with my friends and family. I'm going to enjoy it. I'm going to love it. No guilt and no shame afterwards, which meant that the Boxing Day wasn't hitting the fuck it button. I didn't hit the fuck it on the 27th because I was feeling guilty and shameful about the 26th. I wasn't cascading. And anything I did between Christmas and New Year, was done with the intention that I'm not dieting at the moment. I'm in maintenance. I can fit those foods in. So if we want to have a bacon butty with sausage, I'll get my MyFitnessPal out. I'll track it. If I want to have a biscotti ice cream, I'm going to track it. It's fine. If I want to have a couple of mince pies, I'll track it. But what I won't do, in my opinion, is have whole 7 days just blissfully unaware of what we're eating, because 10 days can create quite a lot of damage, especially if you're going to put booze in the mix, if you're going to put them food and overconsumption in the mix. And I think that intentful nature of picking days where you push and pull is a lifelong strategy. What we do at Autonomy is we teach people how to give and take. Like, there's nothing in this world is for free, and we expect food to not be in that same strategy. Like, if you want to, if you want a car, you've got to pay for it. If you want education, you've got to go and spend days with someone. If you want to go and, if you want to put time in, you have to put effort in to make things work. Like, there's always a give and take. And I think the philosophy of understanding give and take and where you're at within your own journey on give and take is really, really essential. This transcends into like fitness, budgeting, finances, relationships. The give and take mentality is completely synonymous to everything that we do. If you're shit with budgeting, you'll just take until you either hit zero or you go into minus, and then you're then trying to give back to it very, very aggressively. Whereas the best people that manage their balances, they manage their relationships. There's a give and take. There's I want a little bit of this, but I'm going to give you a little bit of this. Or I'm going to take a bit of this, and then you're going to give me this, this, and this. And there's always that give and take. And I think the psychological behavioral aspect of understanding give and take will help you manage this world way better. Because if you know that there isn't an endless supply without a negative. The same with budgeting, like in finances. Sure, you can go into your overdraft. Sure, you can pay at your Amex. But at some point, there is a limit to how much you can take. Fat, calories, exactly the same. There's always a ramification. Even with relationships, there's always a level of which, if you keep on taking from a relationship, friendship, or even a companionship, or a boyfriend or a girlfriend, if you keep on taking from that, at some point there's going to be a ramification for that. That isn't going to be pleasant. Because if you just take from a relationship, you're not giving anything to it, you're not nurturing it, you're not making it grow, you're literally just taking the goods and extracting it for short-term gratification. Whereas when we know how to nurture and develop a great relationship, or how to nurture a good plan, or how to work on your financial budgeting or manage your calories, it's I'm going to take a bit of this, but in return, I'm going to give you a little bit of this. And in a relationship standpoint, it's like, okay, we're gonna take this, but then I'm also gonna give a little bit of this. I'm gonna give you my time. I'm gonna give you my effort. I'm gonna give you, a shoulder to cry on. But I'm also gonna take, the dinners out, or I'm gonna take, you cooking me dinner once a week, or I'm gonna take cuddles on the sofa, or whatever it is. And there's always this push and pull that comes with give and take, and the core philosophy of that transcends into everything. And the ones that don't know how really to manage their give and take philosophy are the ones that end up really running in against this kind of calorie issue and fat gain issue when it comes to calories. Maybe they're great with their finances, or maybe they've just never had to manage their own, so they won't completely understand that and explore that till this moment in time. But it really does expose this give and take mentality around that. And I view it as like, if I look at my whole 10 days over that Christmas period, and I'm looking at what I'm giving 6 days of tracking my food, navigating that, still having nice stuff. I'm still on Prosecco every single day over Christmas, but over those 6 days, I'm tracking it and putting it in beforehand. I know that I'm going to drink tonight a couple of Coronas. I'm going to have a few of those Maltesers. I'm going to have a gingerbread man. Whatever it is, I'm going to track it, my calories, because that's what I'm giving to the Christmas time, to be able to take the niceties of that without there being a significant ramification. Now, there's always going to be ramifications when you take a high bunch of calories or a high bunch of money from a specific scenario. But what I'm saying is that if you can proactively think about it in a way where there's always a cost to a transaction, or there's always a cost to a give or a take, so why not give what you can to have what you really want? And when it boils down to it, who really froths over that time between the 26th, 27th, 28th, 29th, where they're like, I can't wait for the second round of the roast dinner with the stuffing and the pigs wrapped in blankets. No, I don't think many people desire that until it's right in front of their face and they go, oh yeah, I'll have a bit of that. But they really desire the friendship, the companionship, the Christmas Day, the opening of the presents, the celebrating with friends and family, New Year's Eve, bringing in new blood to the year, new goals, celebrating that, whatever they mean to different families. And like I said, with the 21st for me, 21st is about seeing cousins that I haven't seen in a long time, connecting on a deeper level. We got closer as we've got older, and like having that there is really, really important. I couldn't give a shit what happened on the 27th, 28th, and 29th truly inside of me. And that's why when I have this give and take mentality, I can give those days because I don't care about them enough compared to how much I care about the others and how I felt in the past when I've not been in a great situation with any of them and just felt guilty all Christmas and gained 10 kilos. So you have to think about what you truly want, not what your mum wants, not what your auntie wants, not what your husband wants, not what your kids want, but what do you want? Like, what is it that makes Christmas for you? And what is Christmas to you? Because once you can navigate what Christmas is to you, then you can put those things in your diary. You can put those things and make them happen. Like if it is that, a really, really important part of your day or over your Christmas festive period is putting the tree up with the kids. And maybe you've done that in the past with a bottle of Baileys with the husband, then factor that in. That's what Christmas means to you. And maybe you don't care about the 25th, or maybe you don't care about New Year's Eve, but you care about these specific subsets that make Christmas for you. And when we take away what the ideology of Christmas is for everybody, so Christmas Day, roast dinner, yada, 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 and you start implementing what is it that it means to me? What is significant over this time frame that I enjoy the most, that I want to be able to have significant amount of freedom with my true choices and whatnot with that? Like for me, probably arguably the 21st is more important than the 25th because I get to see my mum and dad on that day with the cousins, and we have that. And actually now this year, the 21st is going to be the 25th because that's what we're going to do on the 25th. We're just going to have Christmas Day together and we're going to get shit-faced together. And that's important to me for all of the other reasons that I spoke about. And whether I was doing anything on the 23rd or 24th or 26th or 27th, that's the most important thing. And I've identified that. And another thing, before we wrap up on this, is like, I want to just take the time to say, look, you can do Christmas however you want, and there's so many different ways to skin a cat. Lots of people will tell you, oh, just live free and be happy over Christmas. You don't need to do anything. And other people will be like, I know that you're guilty and shameful, and I know that you're going to end up gaining 10 kilos, so let's do something about it. And I think the mid ground is essentially where everyone needs to be. Pick the days that mean important to you, but equally pick the days that are not important to you. And then once you've identified the days that aren't important to you, then they're your sacrifice days. They're the days that you give to the situation. And then the days that are really important to you, then you take. And that's how you balance the blend. Now, take that philosophy and let's take it a layer deeper. And the layer deeper that I want to talk about is food. You don't froth at every single fucking item in Asda. So why froth at every single item that's in your house, that's gifted to you, that's been given to you? Why do we hoard what's in front of us as opposed to identify what we really truly like? Like if I sat there and I went to my mum and dad's house, because let's talk on a situation of where you're going to someone else's house. I will go to my mum and dad's house. That's not my house anymore. And I used to walk in the door. First thing I'd do is open the fridge. Did it the other day when I walked in. Not for anything other than just have a nosy about, see what was in there. But we lose these inhibitions of what we truly like just to kind of fit the mold or be inclusive of everybody else or have these situations where we can, have whatever they're offering. But the best people that stay in shape long-term and the people that really manage their social occasions very well are kind of the picky ones, but not in a picky, in a prickish way, or them being a cunt. It's actually a way in which they would rather wait for the things that they truly enjoy. And it brings probably back to short-term versus long-term gratification. For example, if there's 3 desserts that are coming out on offer, but your favorite dessert is cheesecake, and you see the first dessert, and cheesecake coming out later, but you see that sticky toffee pudding, or you see that jam roly poly, or whatever. Even if you want to go down the Christmas pudding route, but I just don't rate a Christmas pudding, so I'm not going to talk about it. You see that, and the people that have that give and take mentality will say, I might have a spoonful of that sticky toffee pudding, but I'm going to wait for the cheesecake. Why? Because they like the cheesecake more. And they've created this give and take mentality with preferences that they're willing to give up a sticky toffee pudding, or just a bite of it, not a full one, to have the cheesecake that they want instead of having everything. And we live in this culture now of now, and everything all in one. But as I said before, the give and take mentality, there's always a detriment to every single time you just take. You can either it'll be something that you can't see from emotionally or physically or psychologically, or it'll be a physical toll or financial toll. So when you look at that stuff you're getting for Christmas, you would need less of the things to buy if you actually buy the things that you want. Like if you narrow it down to what you truly desire, and when that becomes something of a focus, you then don't have to buy 10 different packs of biscuits or 15 different packs of things, because when you have the thing that you want, you're satiated, you appreciate it, and you don't need anything afterwards because you've had the thing that you actually desired. So for me, a very easy way to my heart is Ferrero Rocher's cheesecake and a crunchy and some jelly baby gummy sports mixture things. 4 things, key to my heart when we're looking at desserts. If you gave me all those 4 compared to anything in this whole world over a Christmas dinner or after a Christmas dinner, I'd take those infinity. You could put in front of me Donut Time. You can put in front of me Ben's Cookies. You could put in front of me, the Cheesecake Chocolate Factory, Cheesecake Factory, chocolate cake. You could put, Thornton's chocolates in front of me. I'm not interested, because that's what I narrow down to the things I truly desire. They're the best things I could possibly put in my mouth within reason, and definitely dessert. And then you look at the mains, and then you do that with the starters, and you start identifying things that you really, truly enjoy, which then goes against that logic of just like basically being reactive and eating everything that's in sight or anything that you're given. Why would you eat things that you're not going to enjoy as much as enjoying something that you're going to enjoy? Like, there was times definitely in food philosophy to experiment with foods and try new things, and that's absolutely fine. But then portion control and managing your hunger signals is going to be really, really important, because we can't just have everything without there being a ramification. And if you are concerned about, you gaining weight over this Christmas period, use the simple tips of my very long-winded podcast. Honor your hunger signals. Honor things that, when your body says you're full, put the food down. You don't need anymore. Your body is legitimately telling you, I'm good. But your brain will tell you more. And then at that point, you have to honor which one is the one that's going to serve you right. And your digestive system is the one that's telling you right. Your head makes up shit every single day, has 7,955 thoughts on a day-to-day basis. It also, triggers anxiety and depression and all the things that your brain can do massively, that within itself hallucinate, it can trigger emotions. Or you've got something that is straight a brain to gut signaling process, where it will go, hey, we're good, and your brain will go, oh, thanks for letting me know. And that's one part of the brain. The other part says, eat more, shithead. So go through that process of regulating your appetite. Secondly, eat the foods you really enjoy. Don't eat Christmas pudding if you don't like Christmas pudding. If it's a 5 out of 10 on your menu, don't eat it. Just have your 10 out of 10s. If your cheesecake is coming, don't need to have a slice of Christmas pud. You didn't rate it last year. It was shit the year before. Just wait for your cheesecake, and you can save yourself the extra calorie offsets. And lastly, it's the give and take. Once you look at the give and take of what you're willing to give for the days that you're willing to enjoy, that's when you can start really managing Christmas very well. And if you get to a point where you have 10 days over that time period and 9 of them you don't want to give up, and 1 day that you're willing to give up, then that will determine your results. And that will determine how much the ratio between give and take is. And you'll slowly find out and surely find out that if you're wanting to manage things as best as possible, that has to be a decent balance between the two. In a relationship, it's not 90% and 10%. A relationship is a harmonious percentage between a floating percentage that goes 60-40 one week, 60-40 the other week, 50-50. It's a floating averages when the relationship kicks forwards and backwards. But with food and the ability to put stuff in your mouth, which is controlled, it should be that give and take, 60-40, 50-50, 70-30 if you don't mind gaining a little bit. And it's how you act on those days where you said to yourself that these are my low days. These are the days where I've had my fun now, or I did have my fun, or I'm going to have my fun. I need to keep it low. And how your integrity is at that moment will explain to you a lot about how you are psychologically made up for short-term gratification or long-term, or you have the ability to create some adversity and actually go through adversity, which is not even an adversity. It's just you're not eating as much as you did yesterday, or not eating as much as you do tomorrow. But the resilience was the word that I was looking for. How much of a resilience do you truly have? And if we can't give up a few days over Christmas to have, very good days on the other days, my question would be like, why wouldn't you make a change? Why wouldn't you create this mid ground? Why would you want to feel the way that you did last Christmas? Why would you want to go through that rigmarole of saying that January is going to be the change of you? And if you want some ear-splitting, ego-cutting advice, factually, look at your past 3 years. Look at every overview for the last 365 days times by 3 years. And look at factually how successful you were with the mindset that you have right now. And that will be the answer to whether you should try something new that revolves around resilience, give and take, appetite control, and finding out what you really enjoy. Because my hunch is that if you're listening to this, or you are thinking about going through a coaching process, but you've been putting it off, the factual information is probably not going to be particularly strong against. It's going to be particularly stacked against you in probably failed attempts and the same thought processes going over again. Starting January, next year is going to be different. Well, has last year been different? And if you could start reeling off excuses, then the answer is it hasn't. And when you look back on factual information that supports or disproves your claims, you're starting on behavior change. And I hope that's where you start, because behavior change is the way forwards. And if you go through all of that process and you can't play that give and take mentality, then you definitely need some emotional behavior change that comes through forms of looking at the worst case scenario, what the factual information is to support your claim, and also what is the factual information to disprove your claim. And then you can start changing your behavior towards something a little bit better that is going to move you towards your goals. So I hope you guys have a lovely Christmas. I don't know when this is going to be out, so this may be, short, maybe first week in December, second week in December. But what I would do is, guys, if you are looking at managing the Christmas period from December onwards, firstly, don't just say it's fucking Christmas and then just eat like a dickhead for the whole of December. Please just do yourself a favor and hold your routine, hold your normality until you're off work. Hold those situations, yet go to your events, enjoy your socials. But with socials, you can always factor things in. You can always use these times to look at the strategy of counting calories and counting your macros and looking at your fitting in these alcohol into your day. You're going to need to do this in 5 to 10 years time, whether you track or you don't. But you're going to have to factor alcohol in and partying in and social events into your diary for the next 40, 50 years of your life. Make it this year that you make the change to actually doing it correctly and not coming around to January gaining 10 kilos. And that was the last thing I want to speak about like with autonomy, is that this could be your last Christmas dealing with these scenarios and having to diet in January. Imagine what it takes for you to take away the last 5 years of arduous dieting in January, and what it's going to do for your liberation when you move into next year, that you're not doing a January diet like every fucker else, and you're actually really happy with the way that you look, and you're really content with the way that you manage Christmas. Look at the benefits to that versus the cons. They're so fucking high. And at some point, if it's not this Christmas, it's not next Christmas, at some point you'll have a turning moment where you do manage Christmas better, because at that point, the benefits will outweigh the cons. My advice, like I did 3 to 4 years ago, I said to myself on the 20th of December, I think I was flying home from Dubai for Christmas. Conveniently, I also got fired on the same day, which added to the emotional anguish, is that I came home on the flight in floods of tears because I was leaving Dubai. And that's definitely a podcast for another day. And I said to myself, regardless of the situation, regardless of the emotions, regardless of not having a job, regardless of moving back in with my parents or moving down to London, wherever I was moving to, I'm not letting Christmas be like every other Christmas. This Christmas will be the last one that I make the changes to and learn the lessons of, so that I don't have to struggle in the future. And that brings me back to that first point. Thoughts are so powerful, and thoughts will become behaviors and actions and feelings, and they will all become each other. So that's where the thought starts and where it finishes. So hopefully you've enjoyed this podcast. Make sure you get the nice foods in, the mince pies, the Ferrero Rochers, the things that I enjoy, but only get the foods in that you really, really enjoy for yourself. Don't be going eating no dog shit Christmas pudding or any type of like vegan mince pies or whatever they do. Sod that, get the real stuff. And if you're looking for a recommendation, Asda and Sainsbury's do fantastic mince pies. Don't get the phyllo pastry ones, get the proper deep cut ones, and get them good. So guys, have a lovely time. And if you have any questions and you want to know a little bit more about the Christmas Survival Guide, or you want to know a little bit more about how to manage Christmas, remember, please use the free Facebook group. Everybody that listens to this has access to the 6 Phases to Forever free Facebook group, which you can look in the link in my bio on my Instagram, and you can join, answer a few questions, and then you've got endless access to me within the Q&As to go live once a week on a Sunday, and that will help anybody at that time period to help them through that phase. And I don't mind running through any of these strategies over again. So guys, have a lovely week, and I'll chat to you soon.